The last movie I'm going to review for today is Thor 2, the sequel to Thor, obviously, and the continuation of the Marvel franchise that has been going on for the last several years. By now, you guys know my stance on superhero movies if you watch my Avengers and my Spider-Man 2 review, or my Spider-Man review, sorry. If you've seen those, you know my stance on superhero movies. I'm not the biggest fan in the world of them. Marvel's been doing a pretty good job getting me in with Thor, Captain America, Avengers, Spider-Man, Iron Man a little bit, even though I haven't really seen the Iron Man films. But it's been doing okay keeping my interest for a kid who's never read comics or anything like that. So I can honestly recommend those movies. However, Thor 2 is where they're starting to lose me. And there's nothing really wrong with Thor 2. There's nothing necessarily bad about it. It's just that it suffers from a really bad case of sequel syndrome. This movie doesn't feel like it's something that should exist. It feels like it's something that only exists because, oh hey, it's a sequel to Thor. There's nothing really substantial about it. There's nothing that stands out about it. You could easily skip this movie. There's nothing of consequence that happens. Another big problem with it is that, unlike Tony Stark, who after Avengers needed a third movie to kind of expand, the kind of PTSD he was going through, or Steve Rogers, who, is still kind of getting started, Thor pretty much reached the apex of his character growth at the end of the first movie. The first movie was all about him maturing and accepting his responsibility as the son of Odin and the future king of Asgard. And Avengers was him kind of coming to terms with the monster that Loki has become. In this movie, Thor's pretty much reached full maturity, and he's pretty much given Loki up as being completely irredeemable. So there's nothing that Thor really goes through in this movie. No personal things other than, the whole he'll live on for a long time while Jane won't, and he probably shouldn't be in love with her, but that's never really a dilemma, or at least it's not for him, it doesn't seem like, even though people keep mentioning it. Because there's no real conclusion to that. It's still kind of ongoing. You know what I mean? Characters, pretty much the entire cast got downgraded in this role, it seems. Thor doesn't seem to grow as much as a character. Loki doesn't grow at all as a character. Jane is not even really a character in this movie. She's more just a plot device, it feels like. It doesn't really feel like she's changed at all. It doesn't feel like she really adds anything other than, the mystical being thing that's inside of her, and that's really the only point she has. Erik Selvig is completely out of this movie entirely, although I guess that's kind of to make up for the fact that he's the only scientist of the crew that was in the Avengers, but even still, he gets maybe 5 minutes of screen time. Oddly enough, the only character that really seemed to get an upgrade was Kat Dennings, who really did steal the scene every time she was on screen, so I guess I can't complain about that. A big thing that happens in this movie is that Frigga, wife of Odin, mother of Thor, dies, and I guess it's meant to kind of pull the heartstrings, but the thing is, Frigga doesn't really have much of a character. Or at least, I don't remember her having one in the first movie. She wasn't really in the first movie all that much. So when she's suddenly a big role here, and then she's, kicking ass, and suddenly she dies, it's am I supposed to feel anything? I don't get her character. I don't know her at all. She was a background role. I mean, it did pull at heartstrings, but at the same time, it's you didn't really establish her that well. You know what I mean? Or at least it didn't feel like you did. Thor's companions got a bit of an upgrade, except for the Asian character, who is conveniently left out of the majority of the movie. I don't really know why that is. I mean, Robin Hood, Gimli, and the female character all are important parts of the film, but the Asian guy, the only character that's not white, is conveniently not in this movie, pretty much. Why? I don't know. It seemed really weird. It seemed stupid. I guess they just couldn't think of anything for him to do. I don't know. It bothers me that Christopher Eccleston turned down doing the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who, but he agreed to be in this. It really kind of disappoints me. Not that he was bad, but he had nothing to work with. And it was a waste of his talent, really, him being in this film. Odin's existence is solely to be an asshole. That's really the only point he had in this movie, was just being a complete and utter jackass who doesn't tell his son anything, who doesn't like tell his family anything, who tries to do everything himself, and he seems to have not changed at all from the first film. He's still an asshole father. I don't know. I mean, Anthony Hopkins is a great actor, but he's such a dick. I can't like Odin at all in this movie. Did anybody honestly buy Loki being dead? Like, was there honestly for a single second a part of you that thought, wow, Loki's actually dead? Holy crap. Because it didn't happen for me. I didn't believe it for a second. And of course the film proved me right by showing, oh hey, Loki's really alive and apparently he's killed Odin. And now he's the king of Asgard. I don't know. But it didn't fool me. Like, and I guess it's kind of the point that, like, you can't trust Loki as far as you can throw him. And this film even more so. I mean, there's being a backstabber, there's being a double agent, and then there's going back and forth so many times that you have no established character anymore. Like, Loki switched sides maybe 10 times in this movie. Like, my God. I understand that's his character, but, like, at some point you gotta, like, establish, is he, what's he going for here? Because, like, at the end I'm just like, you know what? F*** it. I don't care. I don't give a shit about what Loki's motivation is. It's like they played on the back and forth thing so much that you pretty much ruin whatever, kind of thing you were going for with him. And, I mean, Tom Hiddleston, God bless him, he's a fantastic actor, but you can tell he's kind of struggling here. Although I did like kind of how he was killed pretty much in the exact same way that he himself killed Coulson in Avengers. Or I guess I should say killed, because Coulson's not actually dead, but you get what I mean. The battle scenes were pretty cool. I'm not going to deny that. There were some pretty kick-ass fight scenes in this movie, and they pretty much comprised the majority of the film as being fight scenes. But in doing so, it pretty much took away any substance the Thor series might have had. It doesn't feel like it has any real meat to it. It feels like it's more just an action sequel with... honestly, it almost kind of felt like a Transformers movie. It really did. Lack of story and just more action. So much action that by the end you feel tired. You're really exhausted through this. And that's not really a good thing. You shouldn't have like an hour-long action climax, you know what I mean? It's draining. And I'll get into that when Hobbit 2, we do the review of that, alright? Well, Lynn probably won't touch it, but you get what I mean. But, you can't really drag on that long with no real purpose. So, Thor 2, if you're a fan of the Thor series and you're a fan of Marvel, you'll probably like it, but it didn't really do much for me. And yeah, I think regular fans, like regular watchers, are going to go in here being like, it was okay. Or maybe if they were really going for the action, like, yeah, this was awesome action, but it's I don't know. It was underwhelming to me, is what I'm getting at here. So those are my reviews. Riddick, don't recommend at all. Carrie, do kind of recommend. And Thor 2, recommend really if you're only truly invested in this series. 3 movies that aren't amazing, aren't going to, like, blow people away, but what can you do, really? I don't know. Anywho, that's it for me. Those are my reviews. I'm going to charge this camera up before I start putting the files on the computer. But yeah, let me know what you thought of those 3 films as they come out over the coming weeks. Or since this one's coming out last, you know what? I'm rambling. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, a favorite, subscribe to the channel, post it on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, Reddit, something awful, spray paint on buildings, make a flag of it, get it tattooed in your forearm, get it branded into your forehead. This is Six Look Productions saying keep the spirit of the movies alive.